Hello, everybody. Welcome to CRAVIN IRON PODCAST. I'm your host, Stephen Fiora. I'm here with Ty
the Wood.
Underwood.
Word. That was cute.
Thank you.
All right, and we have our tech savage, Chris Cordero, a.k.a. Christoph.
Yep.
You having a good day, bud?
Yeah.
All right, so, couple things. All right. I want to give a shout out to Kayla Johnson from Johnson Arts. Now, she hit me up a while back and asked if we needed any art done, right? Because she's starting her new thing, right?
Yeah.
And I said sure, and I want shirt apparel and all that good stuff, right? So, Kayla, thank you. You did awesome. Here's a couple of things that she actually drew for us.
Nice.
You got that here.
Looks awesome.
Well, it gets better.
Yeah. That looks just like me. Thank you.
I don't know how she got my muscle definition so perfect.
Yeah, she did really good. And
oh no, wait, there I am. That one's more how you say
no, see, you have me over here,
and Nick.
You have Cordero over here,
yeah,
and it's Underwood's wings.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She called all three of us.
Yeah. So she got all three of us.
Triple threat.
So she did really good. Thank you, Kayla. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. That's what we would look like if we made babies together.
Okay. Moving on.
But it's really cool that she did that, and it wasn't like she took her time. She asked what we wanted, asked for pointers. She sent us like, hey, what do you want? And we sent her multiple pictures of something that we're looking for, and she nailed it. So good job, Kayla. I really appreciate it. We're going to be getting shirts made and all that stuff, and we'll be giving them out on the podcast to guests. And so thank you again, Kayla. Appreciate it. We're going to put her link in the description below at the end of this podcast, so you can click on it and follow her on Instagram and check out her art. A lot of awesome art that she has going on.
Yeah. Word. Good job, Kayla. Proud of you. All right. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Jay Leonard at Pure Volition. Right. He hooked us up with some badass stickers, mad apparel. Fiora's wearing one of their shirts today. And then these really dope socks. So these things are cool because they can breathe and they're really durable. Check them out. Again, we'll put his Instagram handle at the bottom of the page. Check them out. Pure Volition. Awesome. Jay, thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And this is all from supporters of the podcast, and we couldn't do anything without you guys, without the supporters, right? Now, Jay, I have another podcast I do with a lot of demo crew members, and we do it over Zoom. But we're actually going to be giving away some apparel and socks to the demo crew members that are on there. It's going to be random giveaways, and it's all going to be ran by Jay and Pure Volition. So, mad respect. I appreciate it. And again, everybody that watches this podcast, thank you for the support. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe to our channel. Click that little notification bell so it dings when we have new content out there so you don't miss a thing. Don't forget anything that we can improve on, comment below. So,
let us know what's up.
I mean, we couldn't do this, and we couldn't get to where we are without everybody that actually follows us and supports us in this. So appreciate it, mad respect.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
So, anyways, now I've been instructing recently the non-security staff at the prison.
Yeah.
And something that I've been touching on with them is mental toughness. We are brought into an environment. We volunteer to go into this environment every day. And it's something that not a lot of people want to do, right?
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating. It's a scary environment. Can be. Yeah.
And one thing that we need to do is we need to mentally prepare ourselves for what we're going into, right? Mm-hmm. And I know I said it recently on a podcast. Something that I do we always preach separate work life and home life, right? Because you hear about the statistics about like officers in general, first responders, correctional officers. There's a lot of drinking involved when they get home because they don't have that reset or that
outlet.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You know, so one thing that I do, and I actually learned it from a guy that's on the demo crew, and he was on a podcast. He's a firefighter. He mentioned that he ended up losing a kid, and he talked to a therapist. He couldn't save him, you know. And anyways, like I said, I mentioned it on a podcast before. And one thing that he learned from his therapist is you take something like a light switch or something, and you keep it in your car. And when you get in the car, you turn the light switch on. It's like, okay, cool, I'm getting prepared for work, right? And then when you get home, then you turn it off. It's like, okay.
You use something physical to kind of remind yourself of where you need to be mentally.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So something that I do is I take a metaphorical necklace off. When I get home from work, like I have the hour drive to, you know, it's my outlet, right? And I just listen to a podcast or something to kind of release and all my frustrations out, just kind of like let it be.
Right.
And then I take that necklace off, I hang it on my rearview mirror. Then when I get in my car to go to work, put that necklace on, and it's like work mode. Okay, and I tell myself, Fiora stays at work and Steven comes home. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah, if you don't know, at the prison we go by last names. It's first name's not good, so it's just always been a thing. I'm not sure why it's that way. Probably be harder for them to find us if we did first names, but it's a thing. So everyone calls each other by their last name. There are plenty of people that excuse me, that I'm super close with, that I know that you know, obviously we put our lives on the line for each other and stuff. And I don't even know their first name because we just go by last names. So, it happens.
Yeah, we worked with people for years, and say I don't know their first name.
First name's Jamal. Didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Jamal. Yeah, that's what the J's for. Oh.
Yeah, Jamal.
No, I'm really happy that you guys are doing that actually, because obviously security, like we're aware of what's going on, and they, you know, mental preparedness, and we have curriculum that covers that. But for non-security, I think it's super important. They're in that environment also, you know. So I think it's good, and we're kind of lacking there. So now that that's implemented, that's pretty awesome. And I know, like you said, when you were training them, that everyone was really receptive to it, and they were super thankful. Like, oh, I've always wanted to help when, you know, an ICS or something's going on, but I didn't know what to do, so I have no choice but, you know, to stand around or whatever. So I think it's really good that we're doing that.
Yeah, and one thing that, like I said, one thing that I preach a lot, because unfortunately, inmates, they know that we're trained, right? When it comes to dealing with them, okay, but they don't think that these staff are trained, the non-security staff. Okay, and I mean, they didn't get a lot of training, right? But I mean, working there for so long, you build habits. It's just like when I'm going to the grocery store, like one habit that I built is I don't like people walking behind me. When I was working in a dorm, going up and down the runs, I hear somebody behind me or an inmate, I'll step aside. Okay, go ahead and walk in front of me.
Right.
And it's just like in the grocery store. Sometimes I have to sleep on the couch because of it and piss my wife off, you know. My apologies, but like I'll push the cart, and you know I'm a snack hoarder, right? So I like my snacks, and when I'm going through Walmart, you know, if I'm not holding the cart, and I'll grab snacks and I'll put them in the cart. You know, shit that.
Okay. Well, you know yourself, I guess. That's good.
Yeah.
Maybe a little discipline
now,
and just stop. But that's
my job now.
You found
is
a way. So.
To hold the cart. That's my job.
Keep my hands busy.
Oh,
but
idle hands are the devil's playground.
Yeah. So I'll hold the cart. That's my job, right? And then if I hear anybody behind me, I'm like, oh, hold on, babe. And I'll pull the cart, or I'll push the cart aside. Oh, you go ahead. Make it good.
Right.
You know?
I get that too. And like you said, you just build those habits. And for me, it goes into stupider stuff. I don't like anyone walking behind me either. I think that should be like 101, right? Like I'm just super uncomfortable. And people, I stopped and got us some energy drinks on the way here, and like this dude kind of just walked behind me, but it was super close. I mean, he's like 6 inches away, and it bugged the shit out of me. You know, like I gotta stop and I gotta look at him, and you know, it's that situational awareness. Just it kicks in when you build it up after enough time. When I go to a restaurant, I always want to sit where I can see the entrance and I know where the exit is. You know, so I see who's coming in.
Yeah.
Same thing when we stay at a hotel, and we might have talked about this before with the wife, but when I stay in the hotel, like I want to be on a certain side of the bed, and that's depending on where the door is and blah. And it's just habit, you know.
And why do you think that is? Do you think it's more so because of like you can't see certain fight cues, like of a person? Like if you have somebody behind you, you can't tell their body language. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when when inmates, you know, when they're about to attack or get into a fight with an officer or another inmate, they have certain fight cues, like they look around or they have certain body language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always like, something that you feel like you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And like you said, when you're walking down the aisle in the dorm, you can't tell, what that person is. And what was it? Half communication for people is what?
Body language. Yeah.
Body language, And, I just think that, that's always, imperative when you're, working in law enforcement, any genre of law enforcement.
It's kind of ground zero, right? Like it's safety 101. You don't want people behind you. You want to be able to see what's coming. So if you build that habit, it works.
Well, and it's one of those things like it's situational awareness, right? Mm-hmm. Like we have situational awareness. That's exactly what you're talking about. Like we go to a restaurant, and I don't like being in the corner. I like being either close to the door or I like where I sit at the table. I'll be closest to the door for my family, right? Mm-hmm. And if anything goes on, I can get them out, right? If it's too dangerous for my family or my kids, or if their life's going to be at risk, right?
Yeah.
I have an exit route.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
do you have an escape plan for the house? Like someone breaks in?
I do.
You run drills, dude? Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, that's
Kids
awesome.
know where to go. Wife knows where to take them. That she knows what my job is. Secret knocks, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
What's the password? Iron Man sucks, right? Yeah.
All right. Well, I pulled up this video so that we can have a clear demonstration of what type of body language a person may exhibit during an altercation. So let's check that out real fast.
Yeah, this officer that gets assaulted at Lewis prison.
Yeah.
So you can see the way the dude's stepping towards him, right? That's like total aggressive. Mm-hmm. He's kind of stepping and dragging too, which is a natural thing. Takes
and then that right there, how long do you think before it takes, like, you as an officer, before you actually realize like the attack is like going to happen? Like when is your like go time, for you, Ty?
So distance. You know what I mean? There's a certain distance that we're comfortable with. We actually teach that in class. And, for de-escalation, have people walk towards each other and then tell them to stop when you feel like they're too close. Mm-hmm. So to me, distance. And what I want personally is that to be twice their arm's length, right? Because I know they can't physically hit me then, and if they take off on me, then I have enough time to react, right? Because they have to make up at least that arm length to get to me, so I can react to that. That's pretty quick. Obviously, situation dictates, and when you're talking to inmates, sometimes I'm closer than this when I talk to them, but you're going to evaluate that before you come in, and if the conversation starts to go away, then you're going to, be smart. But to me, it's all about distance and having that reaction time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, like, if you don't deal with this often, we've been COVID locked down for a while, right? And starting to open up, and we used to have more fights and more assaults and more staff assaults, right? And more groupings, all that shit, right?
Yep.
So, when you don't deal with this kind of situation a lot, it's easy. We can talk about it all we want. We can train on it, right? But you can get tunnel vision.
Yeah,
right.
Big time.
Just like that video. Okay, the officer can get tunnel vision on that inmate that's, threatening him and getting ready to assault him, right?
Right.
And then you have those other two inmates come up behind him.
Yeah, he's not even really aware of it either. Until it's too late. They're in his bubble.
Let's take a look at that real fast.
Well, start because you can see when he knows it's going down. Look right there. He's like, oh, this dude's on it.
Okay.
See,
and he is communicating with those guys, right next to him.
Yeah, but see, look now he gave him opportunity.
Now he's closed in right there.
Yeah.
Like he stepped forward to that inmate.
You're saying I want to done that. I want to step forward. Mm-hmm. You create distance from.
So now, what is your mindset at this point? Like, say, okay, like it's at this point, the attack is happening. What would you suggest to an officer that is in this type of situation?
Survive.
It's
already on, man. That's the only thing you can do right there. Survive it.
Survive it. That I was thinking about.
Obviously, call for resources if you can, but right there, you're just. All right,
look, he created distance right there. They backed off. That's his opportunity to call for backup, call for help.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes to, like, okay, you got that second, right? You created that distance. You got that second. Now it's time to make sure you call your resources. Let them know what's going on. Hey, if they're entering one side of the building, hey, just letting you know those inmates that assaulted me, they're at the door you're going to be walking in. So maybe come in the other door. Right. It's just like if you have a grouping on the opposite side and your responders, they're going to be coming from the opposite side, but all the inmates are there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, maybe it's safer for them to go on the Bravo side.
Yeah. Okay. A lot more tactical that way, yeah.
We go into talking about third party, protect you, make sure that the other inmates are involved, and protect the third party. The third parties, you can be your responders. Mm-hmm. Okay, just like this, he created the distance, let them know exactly what's going on. Hey, 3 inmates, they're being aggressive. They assaulted me. They're in this location, right?
Well, and he did really well. He got the distance, and then he instantly puts his back to a wall that he knows safe.
To a wall,
he keeps eyes on everything that's going on.
And that's when you start looking for your escape route, your next plan of action, right?
Right.
Like if these guys attack me again, you notice that there's multiple inmates in there, right? And they're up on the higher tier. Okay, but they could easily come down. Like, what if they start coming down? What am I going to do next?
Right. You always want to stay a step ahead.
Yeah.
You can't, again, no tunnel vision. And the hardest part, I think that obviously, the hardest part for me in a situation like that is emotions, right? Because we're all humans. So if someone's hitting you, you have thoughts and feelings and things that are happening. You got to block all that.
Yeah.
Right? Like we talked about, that light switch is on so that it shouldn't be there. There should be no emotions. It's just survive, create distance, get resources. And what's next? What else can I do? What if this happens? What if that happens, right? The what if game.
The what if game. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that should be constantly running through your head at that point. You know what I mean? At any point. The what if game should be constantly running in your head. Even if you're at Walmart, okay? What if a guy came in and started shooting?
Right.
Okay, what am I going to do for my family, right?
Yeah.
Because guess what? For me, priority is going to be my family.
Yep.
My kids, my wife, right?
Right.
So what am I going to do? Am I going to be able to find a good, safe location for them if I'm carrying, right? If I'm concealed carry or whatever, right? Can I stop this guy safely, protecting my family, making sure my family gets safe, right? Can I stop this guy from killing anybody else, right? Because I mean, when you conceal carry or anything like that, right, then it's like you have an obligation.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's situational awareness. The what if game is a thing, like very important, and like I said, we can talk about it all we want. We can train on it, but I mean, until you develop it yourself, right, in your own way, right? Then I mean, it's
one of those things that you really have to be conscious and you have to put in the time when you start doing it. But then, like we said, it becomes a habit where this is where I'm going to sit, and it's to the point where like my wife knows, like when we go to rest, she's like, you know, where do you want to sit? Or she almost evaluates the situation herself, like he wants to sit there, and she's pretty good at it. You know what I mean? Like he's going to sit there, he wants to sleep there, whatever, the hotel, all that good stuff. And if she doesn't know, she's, all right, where do you want to sit? You know what I mean? And it's programmed in everything we do. But you have to take the initial steps and work through that. It's pretty simple.
I mean, I hate sitting at a table at a restaurant. You know why? It's right in the center. And you have so much shit.
So much
line,
around you.
Around the walls and in a booth. A booth, please. I'll wait for a booth.
I'll wait for a booth. Because what does a booth do? I mean, you're on a wall, most likely, right? And you can see majority of everything that's going on. Even if I can't get close to the door, right, I'd rather be in a booth than a table.
Agreed, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like to be by the front door. I want to be distant from that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if there's active shooter, they come in spraying. Like I want to be as far away from that as I can, so they got time to react. And like you said, right? Okay, I know they're good. Is there other people I could help? You know,
Absolutely. Now, what type of how do you call it? What type of mental strain, do you think Fiora puts on an officer and his family in a situation like that while they're at work?
Okay, so look, we deal with the inmates are assholes. Okay,
some,
a lot of them. Okay, and I mean, inmate manipulation, inmate tactics, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of them, their job, like you have an officer or an inmate that comes up and talks to an officer like on multiple occasions, right, trying to get you emotionally involved, like we talk about emotions and all that, right? Well, you have that, and you try to come home, and after you're dealing with that environment, right, and you're constantly that authoritative figure to guys that, this guy is just another officer keeping me here, keeping me from my family, keeping me from what I love, right?
Yeah.
So the officer deals with that at work, and like I said, it's a job we sign up for. It's you volunteer to go in there every day, when these guys don't volunteer to go in there every day, right? And now separating that from family and work is, that's difficult. Like I've changed as a person since I started at the prison. When I first started, it wasn't that bad, but throughout the years, dealing with shit, dealing with inmates, dealing with assaults and all that stuff, right? Like I could see someone get their ass kicked with their eyeball hanging out of their face. I'm like, hey, hey, that looks like it hurts, buddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, it doesn't really faze me. Like, if someone's newer, it's like, holy shit, you know.
There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, like I said, it changed me as a person, and that my wife had to adjust to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to adjust to that to try to get back to where I was, because my wife didn't fall in love with the correctional officer, me.
No.
My wife fell in love and married the guy that was before that, because I didn't start the prison until afterwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
I think that mental strain though, right? Like it is grueling. Like obviously when we're training, when we're doing, you know, certain things, the job is very physically demanding, right? But the majority of it is just mental strain, right? Like I get home and it's like exhaustion, dude. Like just because you've been thinking and dealing with all these situations all day, and I'm constantly playing the what if game, so like my mind never stops. There's 10,000 things I got to do in that day and tasks that I have to accomplish, and on top of that, I'm adding things like, what if this happened? What if the officer did this? What if you heard this right now? How would you get there? What would you do? And it's just like constant. You're constantly. I mean, like if you know anyone who's been to like school or
hopefully everyone.
But like, anyone who's had like an education, it's kind of like that, right? When you're in this crazy class, you're like, I don't get that class. It's so hard, whatever, because you're mentally straining yourself. It's like that, you know. I think I have like, I don't know, I'm getting gray hairs, dude, just from
I think what it is like, if you may not do anything physical throughout the day, you know, but that mental drain can make you just as tired, just as lethargic, just as gassed out as you would if you did like an hour of cardio or something. You just smoked. You know what I mean?
And like how you were saying with turning it on, very important. Everyone needs to turn it on when you get there. Turning it off, just as important, right? Not just for family, but I don't know about you guys, but there's been days where like if I don't turn it off and I don't remember on my drive home to decompress and let it go, or I don't get a workout in or something like that after work, then it's like I'm laying in bed all night and my brain won't stop. It can't. You know what I mean? I'm getting like 2 hours of sleep and I'm exhausted when I get there, and I got 10 hours if I just went to bed right now, so I'll lay there and I can't sleep because it's just all day running through your head. What if I did this better? What if I did that better?
Yeah.
And it's how you grow. It makes you stronger, but at the same time, that shit is taxing. You know what I mean? It can be rough.
Yeah, and like we talked about an outlet, right? Like mine, I didn't realize that the gym was a big outlet for me, a big release for me, right? Until you stop going for a little bit. And then, right, I took not a couple weeks off, but I didn't go as often, right?
Like consistently.
Yeah, and I started noticing that I was bringing work home with me, right? Started yelling at my kids more. Me and the wife started arguing more.
But I don't know if yelling's good. Maybe you're shorter, right?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's short temper.
Well, but I mean, like, something that I would be able to just like, okay, well, you know what, how are we going to improve this? You know, until I'm talking to my son or something, you know, how are we going to improve this? What can we do better?
Right.
You know, let's work on improving this so you don't do it next time, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like me coming home and like instantly, okay, this happens. I guess it's sort of temper, right?
Yeah.
This happens and I'm yelling at him.
Why did you take the trash out? Why do I got to tell you to do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just, that started happening and I noticed it like, okay, I went to the gym the next, probably like 2 days later. And I was an asshole for like 2 or 3 days, whatever, right? I go to the gym. And then as soon as I get to the gym, I take all that anger out. I lift some weights. I fucking, you know, I take it all out. I have an awesome workout, and then I come home and I'm happy. I'm like, okay, you know what? All my frustration's out. I was able to take all of that I boiled up at work for the past 3 days, and I released it at the gym. And then I came home and I apologized to everybody. Hey, look, I've been an asshole. I'm sorry. Like, it's clear that this is what I need to release it all, right? Because the necklace it works the majority of the time, but sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, nothing's,
or the light switch,
nothing's infinite. You know what I mean?
You know,
like you're gonna mess up or not do it right, whatever. You're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, if I start getting short tempered like that, like she just straight tells me, dude, she's like, you need to, like, you're being an asshole, you need to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You need to do something.
Straight up,
you need to
that's
knock your shit off.
That's
you know
good
what I'm saying?
mental awareness.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Maybe you're right. I can't argue. She's always right. You know about that.
Yeah, you're never going to win.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Absolutely.
And then, like, kind of the question you asked is, like, how mentally straining it is on our families, too, right?
Yeah,
like they deal with stuff that I can talk about work all day, but do they really know what You know what I'm saying? And until you stand there, right? Like Coda Academy, right? If you've never been in the prison, you argue, you talk about it, all that stuff, and then we walk them through and like, oh shit, right? Like, oh, this is prison, you know? So, but at the same, like the other side of the coin, with her, it's like I couldn't imagine what she worries about, or you know what I'm saying? And I'll get, you know, it's every blue moon, but just a random phone call. Hey, are you good? Like, just had a feeling you're good. Everything's good. You're doing okay. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's really hard on them. I know for Chris, her thing is like for activations, right? That I always throw it out there. Hey, if like, you know, whatever, if you get activated at midnight, you know, and you don't have a babysitter, kids come to my house. And I think it's her way of like trying to help the team. You know what I'm saying? Do her part. And I think also maybe there's some like mental distraction there of like if she's got 30 kids running around, like she's not going to just sit at home biting her nails, you know, whatever. but yeah, so you know, just if you turn it into something positive, right? Like you could look at it and you could let it eat you up and break you, but if you turn it into something positive, then you can grow from it and become stronger and a better person.
I think us as like being in corrections or law enforcement in general, it's. I mean, maybe for myself, it is difficult to sometimes open up because at the same time, you want to open up and have an outlet, speak to your family about what goes on, you know, and at the same time, you kind of want to shield them and protect them from what you actually see because sometimes you may not want them to like look at you a certain way or like if you have a verbal altercation or a physical altercation with an inmate or you know, got into it with fellow staff about an issue or something, you know, it kind of you kind of don't want them to, like you said, you know, there's Fiora, that's you know the officer, and then at home, you know, you want to be Stevie, you want to be that man of the house of the house, but it's always, especially for me, sometimes it is difficult for me to want to have an outlet. You know, because you feel like, oh well, they're never going to understand. They don't realize. I mean, sometimes we as officers always
kind of like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? Just it's exactly like that because you know a lot of people don't realize you know what we go through and what goes on in our eyes. You know, we always constantly play that what if game. Like you know, hey, you know, what if this happens? What if that happens? Is my family going to be okay? What if this is my last 8 hours, 12 hours, you know, you always have that that what if, you know, for the best situations and the worst situations. And sometimes that can be difficult for officers to kind of separate those things.
Yeah, I agree. And I always say it in the Code Academy, for firearms, we get them pretty early. They don't have much training before we get them. And I always, you know, talk about mental preparedness, situational awareness. We show them some videos kind of like what we're pulling up and talk about like the mistakes they made and stuff. But I always talk about having an outlet and being able to decompress, especially when you're new. And I know I talked about it on a previous podcast, but like for swing shift, for me, it was like I wanted to stay over because when I went home, I knew everyone was asleep and I wasn't that good. Like I had never had to like decompress on a daily basis before.
Right, yeah.
And it's just like the what if game, situational awareness, building that habit. So I would always stay over, and I just built that habit of decompressing. At first, it took a long time.
Yeah,
it wasn't just to drive home, but then I get there, and then I gotta, you know, whatever, watch Netflix or The Office or something stupid, just make me like get out of my head about it, and okay, like hey, I'm a human, and there's this whole other real world out here, right? Because the prison's like it's like this
subculture.
It's like an alternate reality, right? Like you go there and everything's different, right? And it's crazy. And then like literally you just walk out of a gate and it's over.
It's over.
You know what I mean? Now I'm back in the real world. So it took a lot to learn that. But again, if you take the time, and I always tell them that, like find an outlet. I always recommend like jiu-jitsu, you know, giving what up Neely, 42 jiu-jitsu, dopest gym in town, way to be. Gym. You know, I always tell them like something like that, or go take it out on weights, like you said, you know, and you want to think about the things that frustrated you when you're doing it, and then by the time you're done, you're like, I'm good. Yeah, it's over. Yeah,
and you know, like you said, I mean, it's you want to talk to your family about it, but you don't want them to think different about you. Like my outlet might not work for you, you know, and your outlet might not work for me.
Exactly.
Like, you know, so like my outlet. I don't talk about work. My wife knows I don't talk about work at home. You know, she'll ask how was my day, and I'm like, oh, good. Even if it was a shitty day, I'm saying, hey, it was good. You know, because what I'm gonna do, I don't want to talk about work. Like that's Fiora. I'm Steven right now. You know? And when I go to the gym, I'm gonna take it all out on the gym, so I don't need to talk about work, right? Certain people like that, we're creatures of habit, like we were saying, right? That's a routine for me. I don't talk about work at home. I don't talk about it with family or anything like that. Like, I started not talking about work when I went and visited my family, and they were like 14 hours away, right? I hadn't seen them in probably like a year and a half, and my household, like, if you cursed or if you said something stupid, right? Your mouth smacked and soap in your mouth and
the whole
stick
nine
and all that, right? But now when I started talking about work with them,
fuck shit ass,
dude. As soon as I started talking about work, seal their mouth, cursing, fuck this, blah blah blah, this motherfucker, all that stuff, right? And that's when I started noticing. My mom actually said something like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to watch your mouth."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I can see that." And I stopped talking about work, right?
Yeah.
And that helps me decompress a little bit, right? Because I don't bring work home with me, right? So I'll just take it out at the gym. And if I don't have the gym, that's one of my downfalls, and I need to correct it. But if I don't have the gym, then it's hard for me to do that. And then it feels like I need to talk about it. And that's just me bringing work home with me. And that it pisses me off. You know what I mean? Because, like, I shouldn't do that. I put that necklace on there, and, I have a metaphorical necklace. I have the gym. I have all this shit. I have the podcast. I have, people that I can talk to, like you guys. If I needed to talk about something, I can talk about it with you guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
People that I work with. But when I feel like I'm starting to bring that home, and I start, my temper is short, right? I have a short fuse, and arguing with the wife about stupid shit that I shouldn't argue because she's always right,
Smart. You're learning.
Yeah, but I mean, it pisses me off when that happens because that's not me. Like, you know what I mean? That's not my habit. That's not my routine.
Right. See, and I'm different. Like, for me, like, I have a partner, so, like, I'll decompress and I'll work out, and sometimes that's enough. But if there's something that's lingering, then I'm gonna put it on the table, right? Like, who knows you better than your partner,
right?
Right. So they know you. So you talk to them. They can completely understand. Like, okay, I get it.
They'll listen
and offer good advice because they know who you are, what you're all about, how you think, how you work, and then they can offer good advice. Like, hey, maybe just look at it this way. Oh shit, right? Yeah. Like, I know we talked about like taking that step back from the situation. Right, so and seeing the full picture, and sometimes that's hard because you're caught up in it.
Right.
And to me, like, your partner can help you step back, look at it a different way. Oh shit, okay, you're right, yeah, and you get that motivation and inspiration to, all right, I'm going to tackle it tomorrow. I'm going to implement that tomorrow, and I'm going to do it until it's a habit, and then it'll be done, and figure out the next problem, and I'm going to fix that too. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Ty, you were talking about how, during like let's say like a firearm instructor, right? And so what are some things that if an officer is in a situation like like escorting, you know what I mean? Like what side should they be on? And like for a new officer, like how would you inform them? You know what I mean? During like a coded situation.
We do that in a class, and there's a whole 4-hour block about it.
Right.
First day of firearms.
Right.
It's pretty good. And yeah, so obviously you want to keep your weapon away from the inmate. It's trained. We're always going to escort, in a safe way, which, I won't give out all our tactics and anything like that. Right. But standard practice is obviously, it's kind of, I don't want to say or mistake the word. Like, I'm not calling an inmate a dog, but it's kind of like walking a dog, right? Like you want them in front of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's smarter.
And
away from your weapon, which, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I know I'm not the only one, but I have seen like working the yard, when officers are doing escorts, I do tend to see a lot of officers, leading the inmate, in front of them. Now for me, like Fiora was saying earlier, that it's, you get like some sort of vibe or some sort of sixth sense. Like, I don't want, 2 or 3 inmates, let alone one, behind me, because I don't know their body language. And you constantly play that what if game. So, use a tactic, like you said, like, let me just step to the side. You know what I mean? But sometimes every now and then, us as officers, we can get distracted. So like, my question to you is like, how would you inform, a staff member who is lacking in a certain area, how to be aware, like have certain types of tactical awareness to, remember, we're always constantly outnumbered, 1 to so many inmates. It's always just you and a multitude of inmates. How would you inform the staff how to, constantly be on that forefront mentally to be tactically aware of their surroundings?
Right. So it's important as a instructor, supervisor, that you learn that you build a rapport with every officer, right? Because you want to know what they're about, and it's easier to make illustrations if I know this person likes dirt bikes, this person likes that. Then you can incorporate those things where it really clicks home.
Right.
Okay, and then being able to identify the different learning styles, right? Like you have audio, visual, and kinetic. Okay, so you got to figure out how they learn. A lot of officers, when you just show them an example of like, hey, you were doing this wrong. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then you actually physically, get someone. Look, he's standing right here. Right, you're doing this. What can this mean? Isn't it smarter for you to be here? And just like actually walk them through. To me, that's the one that really drives it home. It doesn't really matter what kind of learner you are at that point. Like if you put them in a physical scenario and show them this is not safe, this is why, they can see it. Okay, and then you show them this is where you should be. Okay, that makes sense, right? And another thing though with that is like we all make mistakes, or obviously we don't want an inmate to be behind us. When the yards are open, there's inmates everywhere. No one's perfect. Like we just had the situation with his name's not important, but we had a situation with an inmate at yard set, and he started disrespecting an officer, started cussing at him, and I'm like, hey, come on, let's go. You're going to my office, Right. And now there's inmates everywhere, and this dude, he's not there, right? We have a lot of inmates that are SMI, seriously mentally ill. There's nowhere for them to go, so they go to prison.
Right.
So this dude could take flight on anyone at any given moment. You don't know what he's capable
don't know,
of, right?
Absolutely,
obviously any inmate can, but when they're not all there, it's super sketchy. But like he wouldn't walk forward. So I'm like, let's go this way, and I started walking him, and all I had to do was give Swazo a look, and he knew like, all right, and he went behind the inmate. So I'm leading the inmate, but Swazo, like he read the need, and he's like, nope, I need to be there, keep him safe, right? And he had my back. Absolutely. So that's another thing too. If you're there,
it's
you got to read the need. And like, hey,
that you have a partner.
This situation's happening, and I could help by doing this. You know what I mean? So you have each other's backs too.
Yeah, talking about scenarios like in self-defense, I give examples, scenarios all the time, right? Because a lot of people have family, a lot of people have kids, especially a lot of, like, even if you don't have kids, you have your parents, you have your spouse,
people you love.
Right? Yeah. So, like, you don't know what anybody is capable of, right? Mm-hmm. Like anybody, like Walmart example, right? Or gas station. You're at a gas station, you have people all around you. Okay. The person that's next to you pumping their gas, you don't know what they're capable of. You don't know if they're paramilitary.
Absolutely.
Right. You don't know if they know jujitsu. You don't know if you don't know what's going through their head, right? What they're planning. Okay, it's just like if someone's going back to situational awareness, right? You wouldn't always have that what if. Like, what if this guy behind me, like I said, people behind me, right? I don't like people walking behind me because when you're escorting an inmate, if you're in front of them, guess what? You don't see what they're looking at. They could be looking at your holster. Now they're running through their
body
head.
language, anything.
Okay, you don't know what's running through their head, what they're capable of, right? Okay, now since he's walking in front of me, he has all the time from that walk to think about, hey, what am I going to do to get that weapon? What am I going to do to assault this person or whatever, right?
Right.
Now he's looking around, like if you're walking behind him, if you're escorting him or walking him, like you said, right?
Yeah.
You can see, he's looking around. What's he looking around for? Okay, he can't see where my weapon is right now. He can't see what my hand's doing. He can't see that my hand's covering the weapon or anything like that, right?
Weapon retention, yeah.
So he can't, like, just at the gas station, for example, you're walking in front of somebody, okay, you don't know what they're thinking. Okay, we have a lot of shootings right now, right? Or we've had in the past a lot of shootings, just out in the world, right? And situational awareness can save your life and everybody's life around you, right? Yeah. You don't know who's planning that, and then it could be the randomest fucking person.
I think we got a pretty good video of that, right, Christoph?
Let me pull it up real fast so we could actually see the reason why situational awareness and weapon retention is very important, and also having a partner. So it's good. Like the officer now is building a good rapport, obviously, with the inmate. He's communicating with him, but he's at a disadvantage. I'm pretty sure he's right-handed. You just tell that the weapon's right there, and let's just continue to watch and see what happens. Nope. He's got
Goes
his
for the
gun
distance, doesn't work. Closes it, boom.
straight to the ground.
And if you're concealed carrying, or if you're an officer or anything, you never want to have the fucking weapon on that side.
Right.
Like,
Closest to the end.
like if I know I'm carrying, right, and I have somebody right here walking next to me, or standing in the at the register in line right next to me, well, guess what? I'm probably moving because I know my weapon's there.
Yeah.
Okay. If this person has a weapon, or if this person tries to do something stupid, and I need to pull my weapon. Okay, if he sees me reach in my pocket real quick, or try to get something, or try to get my weapon out, okay, he's going to be able to see that. But if I'm turned, or if he tries to get my weapon, if he sees it in my pocket or in my holster or anything, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to protect it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, I think a lot of people, I would imagine, just kind of throw their gun on and, hey, I got a gun, I'm safe.
Yeah.
Right? I just took my sister, she just bought her first Glock, and I took her out and ran her through some drills and talked about a lot of the stuff that we do in firearms and everything. And at the end of it, she's like, holy, like, oh, that's all, like, there's so many things you said, like, I can't even remember everything, you know? Like, we'll go again, calm down. But that was a big thing. Like, you don't put this gun on unless, like, you're going to control it. You know what I mean? Like, if you put that on, it's just as much of a burden as it is an asset.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's more or less, in my opinion, it's a tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
a tool. The most important tool that you have is your mind. You know what I mean? That's why it's extremely important to have some sort of mental awareness, mental preparedness. You know what I mean? And to be a tactician in that, you know, aspect. You know.
And I mean, like, sure, you can be doing a concealed carry or whatever, open carry, and, you know, someone could take your weapon, but it happens in law enforcement all the time.
All the time.
Which we go over in one of the classes, which is like example after example after example of officers, and it's like only in a month span.
Yeah.
And there's like 8 examples that we have of officers who died with their own weapon because someone took it from them. You know what I mean? And it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Right? So, but again, you can have the best equipment in the world, a holster that doesn't pull a gun out and all this stuff, but none of it matters. And none of it should be necessary. If you have situational awareness, it shouldn't get that close. Obviously, bad things can happen. You know what I mean?
Some things we can't.
Yeah, I could win the
control.
lottery. It's probably not going to happen, but I could win the
probably
lottery.
not.
Right? Hopefully, I will.
Yeah,
Fingers
probably not.
crossed.
Hopefully.
But yeah. Hater, dude, hater. I would throw you some bones, dude. Like, I got you, bro. I got you. Yeah, no, I hope you win.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll give you a number. Yeah.
Oh shit, we got off topic there. But yeah, so it doesn't matter if you have situational awareness, then there's the biggest probability that you're never going to be put in that situation where someone's trying to get your gun, where they're using your gun against you. You know what I mean? And I made my sister very aware of that. Of like, if you do this, like, you know, someone can take this from you, and, you know, he can shoot you with it. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a big deal.
And I kind of look at that because I train a lot, right? We all train really hard.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
And I see it all the time. Like, I'll go to the store and dudes are open carry and, you know, they got their 1911 and the hammer's cocked and all this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
like,
thanks for bringing my gun for me, because if we get in a fight, I'm going to fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like, you brought it for me. I don't even have to carry it, dude, because it's right there. You got it. Hold it. That's how I want to have it. You know what I mean?
And like you said, like people are unaware, like Fiora was saying, of how where a person is at mentally. You don't know if they're trained boxers or trained martial artists. Like, you don't know where they're at mentally.
Right.
And you made a clear example by saying, "Hey, thank you for bringing my gun for me." If you was, you know, a bad guy, half the job is done.
Yep.
You know, you got the means of operation. You got the means to complete whatever negative task that you intend to do.
When I think doing the what if game and training like we do, right? Training in different, you know, physical aspects, whatever, that you can, if you do it enough, you can start to see just the way someone carries themselves. Like, all right, they know what's up, right? Same thing. I've had inmates where, you know, like, I'm just having a normal conversation, and Blackshire was a good example. Okay, professional boxer from New York, and when I'd have conversations with him, he's always super friendly, but I'd have a conversation with him, I'm like, I don't like where I am, so I'm going to slowly move in this conversation. I would move, and then he would readjust. You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of both like talking, and sort of like going around the clock there, but like, it's like, no, I'm going to get in a better spot, and I'm there, and then he's like, yeah, I'm moving. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. So there's different ways and cues. If you train yourself on it and you know what to look for, you can have obviously you never can judge a person's what a person is capable of, you know, but you can train and have some idea, you know, And I'll do that too when I'm speaking with inmates or officers, whoever, and just to have a mental note of if they're about that or not. I'll move in a certain way and see did they react to that? Oh, they stayed right there. You don't know what's going on, dude. You don't know what's up.
You know what I mean? I do the same thing too. If I'm interacting with an inmate or an officer, I'll go to a bladed stance and see if they like move to a different position, like you were saying, and if they don't move,
and maybe for staff they're comfortable with us, so they know. But yeah, I use that tactic a lot, kind of see what's up, and then I make that mental note of like, all right, hey, 2 Alpha 1, he's about that.
Yeah, he's about that. Yeah.
1 Alpha 100, he don't know what's up.
You don't know.
Right? Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
All right, so hey, you got the disturbance video on there, dude?
Oh yeah, which one? You want to see the pumpkin patch?
No, show me the 600 inmates with the CSI.
600 inmates.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I got you.
Right, so obviously situational awareness is super important.
Yeah.
This is a disturbance that happened at a prison here in Arizona, and you can see like these dudes, they get after it. So they got shields, makeshift shields, and throwing rocks at staff, right? Like super dangerous.
This guy just jumped over the fence. Jeez.
He's about that.
Barricades and
barricading their stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we got some for that.
Causing destruction.
Fires are the worst, man. All bad.
So look, I mean, if you're putting yourself in this environment at all, like this is a real thing. Like inmate tactics, right?
Well, so go back to just where all the inmates are out there, right? Like I don't know how you work there, and that isn't your biggest concern ever.
Yeah.
What do I do if this happens?
Always out
That's
there.
what all this preparation is for. All the lifting weights, staying fit, whatever martial arts training, all that, firearms, everything that we do and train for on the team and as individuals, right, is for this worst case scenario, because I see that and I'm not worried about myself, but like I love every staff member that works there, and
absolutely.
I'm responsible for making sure that they're safe and they go home to
they
their
go
families.
home the same way they came.
You know what I mean? So I see that and it's like, okay, how do I get everyone home safe?
Right.
It's
always. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
it's always that thing where I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I use that mentality in everything I do, and a lot of people will question me like, oh, why do you go to the gym all the time? Why do you do this all the time? Why do you act like this all the time? It's so that I'm always prepared, so that I'm always aware, especially in law enforcement.
Yeah, and I do want to say though, it's not like they're the bad guys and we're the good guys, right?
Yeah.
Like that. That's not a thing. So I don't want it to get misconstrued that like, oh, it's us versus them and this and that. And I want to make sure my staff members go home safe, because we could with this situation, they can lob all kinds of gas, stinger ball grenades. They could jack that whole crowd up. But we always want to do the least amount of force necessary, because they're people too, right? So we don't. I don't do this job to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt any inmate. I don't want to hurt any human ever.
Right.
Now, but like you said, better to prepare for it and not need it, and
Need
what
it
have
and
you.
not have it. Yeah.
So I mean, like I'm sympathetic too, because I know, like we said, that's a whole different reality, and they have rules. Like you may see 600 dudes on the yard and they're having a disturbance and starting fires. Maybe there's like 10, 20, 100 shitheads, right? Those other 500, they're doing what they have to do.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah. You're in there and you got to follow the rules. You got to do what your race does.
Right.
It is what it is. Like, so I don't think it's I don't know. I just don't want to say like, hey, they're bad guys and it's us versus them and we're gonna go fuck them up like that. That's not what we're about. You know what I mean? We want everyone to be safe, including the inmates that are throwing rocks at us.
Yeah.
We just want them to be safe.
Right.
We just want to stop it and everyone go be safe and
go back to their houses and let's go on with the next
Come on,
day.
guys, count time. Let's get chow rolling.
Jeez.
Yeah, and one thing what we hear a lot about this kind of shit, we haven't had one since 2015, right?
Been a minute. Yeah.
Okay, so we hear this a lot. Well, it hasn't happened in this long. So then guess what? Those officers are starting to get complacent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Complacency sets in and they stop preparing because, we haven't had this in a while and we haven't pissed the inmates off or the inmates haven't pissed each other off. Well, guess what? It can happen like that.
Right.
Well,
and I think that's what a lot of officers, whether you're new or not, if you don't promote and go to the like supervisor level and see bigger picture stuff, right? Obviously, some officers they know more than me, right? I'm not saying officers are less than or anything like that. There's a lot of officers that know more than me or better at their jobs than me, right? But I think like there's always like the thing that sets it off, but there's always these giant underlining issues that get
Small-
the tension that
yeah,
high.
the small
So a
stuff.
lot of people look at certain people like, oh yeah, hug a thug, this, that, the other, and it's like, no, like these underlining issues are what causes that.
Yeah.
Like sure, a disturbance over an orange, right, which has happened. Okay, stupid chow hall sandwich, whatever, and millions of dollars worth of damage. Okay, but it's those underlining issues, and those are the fires that we try to put out to keep that from happening. So I feel like that our administration is really good at taking care of those underlining issues before tensions get high.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's not a matter of if but when. Maybe I'll work there for 30 years and it never happens on our watch, you know?
Yeah.
But it can. We always want to be ready for that. But I think the reason that we've done so well is we take care of those underlining issues and we put out those fires. And that's the best way to keep everyone safe, right? We never have to have staff out there and use those tools that we train for and go rescue them or what have you, go put out the fire, the situation, because we deal with it at a way lower level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, something small to us is something big to them. Just like the sandwich issue, right? Mm-hmm. It's something small to us, but guess what? It's big to them.
Yeah, it seems silly, but to them it's the world.
Yeah. Commissary, it's something we might not think it's this big deal, but guess what? It's a big deal to them because that's where they get all their shit. That's where they get all their supplies for inside their house that they actually live at. Right, where we get to go home and we have all our shit in our house and our fridge and all that stuff. Right, we have a store to go to. They have this commissary line.
Right,
but back to complacency. Like, it's not when, or it's not if but when. Right, and that's what we train for. We push ourselves to the limits every single day. Every time we go to the gym, okay, we push ourselves to the limit because guess what? When it does happen, okay, you're going to be mentally exhausted. You're going to be physically exhausted. But the way you're going to strive and succeed is how often you push yourself past your limits outside of that place, right?
Yeah, so you want to take yourself there physically, just like the what if game does mentally, right? Like you're going to respond better to a situation because I've thought about this situation. It's been in my head 1,000 times. I know exactly what I want to do. Maybe you got to tweak things with the circumstance not being exactly how you planned it. But you've been there in your head, so you react better to it, like calling an ICS. You practice calling an ICS over and over and over, and then you call it out on the radio. Sounds perfect. Oh my gosh, you're awesome, right? And the same thing physically. You want to push yourself. You want to take yourself to that uncomfortable zone, somewhere you've never been before, where you're physically exhausted. You can't even move, stand up, whatever. And then when you get to that situation in real life, then you're gonna be able to go past that too, right?
Yeah. So talking about limits, like, we're limitless. You know what I mean? We're more capable than what we give ourselves credit for. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's just like when we lose air. Okay, like when you're fighting. How long does a fight usually last?
Couple minutes.
If that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Sometimes it's
Why
like
is that?
seconds.
Because I'm badass. No, I'm just kidding. Because people forget to breathe.
They forget to breathe, right? And what does that do? You don't provide oxygen to your muscles, your brain, right? That's when you start forgetting how to think about little things, like, okay, escape routes, situational awareness, okay? And the way you prepare for that is you put yourself in those situations, right? And like when you're at the gym and you're exhausted, you just did 45 to an hour of cardio, okay? And it doesn't matter if it's running, hitting a heavy bag, whatever it is, right? And after that, you go to do the next thing. And you push as hard as you can, and then you're going to find out, oh, hey, you know what? I just maxed out, and it's heavier than I was, or than I actually pushed when I was fresh.
Right.
Okay. You know why? Because you push yourself to the limit and you strive. Right. Yeah. It's just like these situations. Like, if you don't mentally prepare yourself, and if you don't train for it, and by training I don't mean sitting in the classroom. It's like just the what if game. Play the what if game all the time. Right. You go to Walmart. Playing the what if game. You go to the restaurant, what if game, right? You're driving to work, what if game. Yeah. What if somebody pulls in front of me, does a Fast and Furious?
Yeah. What if Dominic Toretto pulls up behind me right now? Yeah.
But what if someone blocks your path, right? And then they get out, and there's 5 dudes that get out. What are you gonna do? Okay, how are you gonna prepare for that?
Right.
Okay, are you gonna go off the road? Are you gonna do? Are you gonna get out? Are you gonna confront them? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you're in a dorm and you have inmates fighting on one side? Well, guess what? Now you go and get tunnel vision on that fight, right? And you get assaulted. Okay, now they're assaulting you. Guess what? They obviously want to cause harm to staff. So now you call the ICS or push a button, whatever, right? Get your responders in there, and now since you're occupied with this and you didn't relay the message that, hey, well, you didn't have that situational awareness because you're getting tired, you're getting fatigued, right? And you're not thinking clearly, right? Your situational awareness goes out the window, and now your responders get assaulted because they planned for this, right? And they mentally prepared, and they prepared for it, everything that's going to happen, right? And you didn't because you didn't push yourself to the limit. You didn't do the what if scenarios.
Yeah.
You didn't go. Now you're exhausted because you didn't push yourself in the gym, or you didn't do something to be able to fight this, and survive, right?
Fight or
you didn't prepare.
So now you're fucked, right? And then guess what? You just got more people injured because you didn't want to fucking get off your ass and go do the work, right? And I'm not talking about just physically, but mentally. You can come home every day and just sit on your ass and watch TV. Yeah. And watch fucking funny movies or Disney movies, whatever the fuck you're doing, right? Yeah. You can do that all day, right? But if you actually come home and open up a book about enemy tactics or about just something that's involving your job or pushing yourself in the gym or just working outside and just like kind of fatiguing yourself or doing something different,
right?
And when that different happens, if you're not doing it outside of work or in work, if that different happens, okay, and that scenario happens, that hasn't happened in 4, 5, 6 years, okay, now you're not mentally prepared. Now you're not prepared at all, and now you fucked yourself and you fucked everybody around you.
So I think a big thing with that is like for mental preparedness, a lot of people have that thought, right? I know every human has to have the thought, however often, but I want to get in shape. Or, I want to do this. Or, I want to become a better shot. Or, I want to, whatever, build puzzles better. Right? So, people have these thoughts of how they want to grow and what they want to learn. But if you don't stop right then, identify, I just told myself I wanted to do this, and you don't come up with a plan and hold yourself accountable for it, then you're not going to get it. You can think about it all day, right? January, everyone signs up for the gym, New Year's resolution, all that stuff.
Everybody.
Right? A month later, are they there? Nope. Weights are back open, okay, and I know January is annoying. It's kind of a pain in the ass when they come in the gym and stuff. Yeah. But hey, good. Hope you stick with it. But I think a lot of people they have that thought of I'm going to sign up for the gym. That's it. That's your whole plan. You don't. That's it. You're going to sign up for a gym. It's that easy. Because if it's that easy, everyone would be swole. You know what I mean? But you have to take that time. Okay, I want this. I just told myself I want this. How am I going to get it? What's my steps? What's the progression, right? How do I prioritize what I need to do first? And if you do that, and then all you have to do after that is you build those steps, and then you just have to hold yourself accountable to them. All right, you're going to be so proud of yourself that you're going to keep going and level up. I think a lot of people, they don't build the steps, they don't hold themselves accountable, and then they start to get depressed about it, I kind of do it, and that's when they pull back from the gym or whatever, or quit whatever goal it is. Now I don't build puzzles, so I'm bad at it. They just stop. You know what I mean? So you have to build those steps, be accountable for it, and you should feel like a piece of shit if you don't do what you said you were going to do. Then you're a piece of shit.
Complacency is
Step it up.
The biggest killer. The biggest issue that people have when it pertains to being a tactician. You know what I mean? And being a tactician doesn't mean you have to be on some specialized unit or whatever. It's just having certain tactics with whatever environment you're in at the end of the day. Yeah. When you become complacent, that's when you start running into issues. That's when you're not mentally prepared. That's when you're oblivious to body language. That's when, when you know, or not necessarily know, but when tension is in the atmosphere and you become complacent, I'm just going to come to work, get my paycheck and go home. Well, yeah, that might be good for you and you might get to go home. But because you were complacent and you didn't notify, let's say a supervisor, you didn't tell another senior staff, hey, I heard this in this dorm, or I felt this in that dorm, you're putting somebody else in harm's way by not informing them. You're complacent and you're set in stone about the fact that, I'm just coming to work to get a fucking paycheck. Yeah. But the other person the other officer is not set in stone. That officer wants to progress. That officer wants to be more knowledgeable. That officer wants to be more mentally prepared. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you being complacent can hinder that officer in every aspect of that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in law enforcement.
I think I love it when I have officers call and they're like, hey, the vibe's weird in here. You want 45? Nothing's happening, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna come check it out. Like I get excited about that.
Yeah.
You know that tells me too. Okay, one, like there's something I may have to address, and we're gonna solve that underlining issue before it becomes a thing and someone gets hurt. And at the same time, I'm like, this officer's on it. They're running their game. They're doing what they should be doing because they noticed this.
Yeah, that makes you feel good as a supervisor. Like, okay, you know, like you said, like this officer is on point. He's seeing, you know, he's paying attention to the vibe of a dorm or the vibe of the yard or suspect as a police officer.
Another thing too, when we talked about elevating, right? Like this officer's on it, whatever. Then that's going to build that trust. You know, as a sergeant, I'm going to say if someone calls me, hey, this vibe's weird, whatever, I'm going to go in there. Oh shit, you're right, this is weird. And then it's like, hey, mental note, like I can call on this person. They're about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've been there with Swazo, I know, and like I said, I just gave him a look, and he's like, didn't say nothing, didn't react, and boom. He took, you know what I mean? Read the need. So there's nothing that feels cooler than knowing that someone has your back like that, like that complete trust in them. That I'm walking in, that inmate's behind me, and I know like ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're talking about elevating, right? Now, you can elevate in your job. You can be the best CO or the best lieutenant or the best sergeant or whatever in the world, right? You could be great at it, okay? But you can have complacency in other aspects of life. Okay, like I can focus on work and I can be the best I can be at work, right? But
yes, balance.
Then I come home, and since I'm taking all that energy at work, right? Then how am I being a dad, right?
Right.
Am I striving the same at home as I am at work, right? Am I striving the same at the gym or at the range or whatever, right? So it's one thing being like proficient in one thing, okay? But being proficient in all things. That's what makes you great, right?
Right. And I talked about that too, right? Like my whole goal is to be top 3, well-rounded in everything we do. You know, you can be the best at that, that's cool. I'm second or third. You can be the best at that, that's cool. I'm second or third. Like, but you suck at this and she sucks at that, and you know what I mean? So balance is a big deal. It's kind of like as bro sciencey as it is, right? But you evaluate your body. Oh, I need to build my biceps. So you work on your biceps, you build that up. Okay, what else? Like, oh shit, calves are failing, gotta step that up. And you always want to elevate everything and build it together, right? But you can't. You can try to build everything at the same time, sure. But if you're focusing on one thing, like I'm really lacking here, I need to build that up, and you get it elevated, even with everything else. Okay, now what else? Oh, this was a little that. I'm gonna build that up. I'm gonna build that up. It's the same concept.
Yeah, it's
you know what
building your physique. You know, you're building your physique on your body, right? You're building your physique in life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Life is just a big physique that needs to be built.
Gains.
Life
is gains.
Life is
gains.
all about gains. All about gains.
But I mean, it's just taking that time. You know what I mean? It's taking that, building that drive and setting those goals, right? Like, okay, I find myself doing awesome at work, and then I bring work home with me, and I'm not being a good dad.
Yeah.
Okay, so now guess what? Yeah, I'm gonna stay elevated at work, but now I need to focus on my home life. I need to focus on being a
build
good
those
dad,
gains
right?
at the home
Yeah.
life.
So you got to maintain where you're at with the things you're on point with. Build. Right? Build it up. Maintain. Build. Maintain. Build.
Yep.
And the maintaining is a big deal, right? Otherwise, you're just fucking juggling.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, home's great. Work sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, work's great. Home sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
so
right.
you got to maintain where you're at and stay on that. Okay, this is my minimum that I need to do that, and I'm handling it. I'm going to stay right there. I'm not going to get complacent with it, and you build from there. Right?
Yeah, it's like building physique.
Hey,
Right? You could be on a bulking diet, right? I'm gonna bulk. Okay. Now you bulk, you focus on that, you get big, you get strong, all your stuff, right? Okay, now I'm gonna cut. Okay.
Because your cardio is shit. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna cut, right?
Your cardio.
And when you cardio sucks in general, but anyway, so you're building on that, right?
Yeah.
And you hear people like, oh, I'm gonna bulk and I'm gonna cut. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be fucking hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not really focusing on one thing. You can do it. Good luck, you know. Good luck.
Good for you.
But guess what?
It's going to suck.
You focus on one area of your life, whether it's gym, job, all aspects of life, right? Home, okay? You build on that, and then you maintain. So like the bulking, right? You bulk,
You got to
you
balance
maintain.
and get your yin and yang.
And then you cut, you maintain the bulk, and you cut, right?
Yep.
So
That's the thing. Christoph, we got another video there, bro. I think we had another one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up.
I kind of forgot what it was, really.
I have a
like it's
question
cool.
now. During a certain situation, let's just say we have a disturbance because we can't call them riots anymore.
Actually, it's a major or minor incident.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Can't
major
call it
or
a
minor
disturbance.
incident.
That's aggressive.
Sorry,
Man.
got to be politically correct.
That's why you're on camera.
How would you, like, say if you have new officers, which is starting to see a lot of fairly new officers, and you come across a situation where you have a situation where you have to delegate certain tasks for these new guys to do. How do you, as an instructor, how do you, as a supervisor, if you are, what advice could you give these new officers in a situation? Because all too many times I see new officers are stuck, like you were saying before, with other staff where they're like, hey, look, I want to help, but I don't know what to do, until we started recognizing that and then implementing certain things of what these other officers can do. Now, what advice would you have to give to these new officers in a situation like, let's just say, hey, we got to do a major extraction of CDU. How would you delegate those tasks to those new officers? Like, hey, they showed up as a responder. What is something that you're going to do? How are you going to address the situation in a calm manner and in words that will hit home for this officer to be like, okay, I'm here, I know what I need to do, let's do it. How would you two address that?
Okay. Well, if they're in CODA, that's a thing. That's a different thing. I usually go with not like scared straight tactics, but I make it really personal for nothing says you're going to go home to your family when you show up. And you clock in. Nothing.
Absolutely.
That's not guaranteed at all.
Absolutely.
Right. So I make that really clear there. Once they've already hit the yard, like that doesn't work so well because they're like, hey, I work here every day. Like, right. Maybe complacency or what have you. Right.
Yeah.
But for them, I always like them to give me the answers the best they can.
Right.
Okay. Because then it's from them and their ideas. And a lot of times that they'll open my eyes to like, ooh, I didn't think of that. That's good. I like that.
Well, it's gauging where they're at. Gauging what their mentality is. Because, I mean, like we talked about you when you were, before you got promoted, we were talking about like what we saw in you as an officer, as a cadet versus the other cadets, right? You have that mentality, you have that train of thought that like, okay, I can do this. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? You have the right train of thought, right? You have the right mentality to be able to do something. Even if you don't know what to do, you're going to find the solution, right? And if you notice that an officer doesn't have that, that's what you can build on, right? You can build it on with scenarios. You can, I mean, if it, like you said, kind of scaring them straight, somewhat, not so much, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it works for cadets.
It does work for cadets, right? You can say, hey, look, okay, if you say, hey, we're going to do a cell extraction, when one says, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, well, cool. One thing that can work is, hey, you see all these other guys that were involved in this that are standing behind you, okay? They're relying on you. And if you don't do this,
if you don't do your job,
and what you're trained for, then guess what? You can harm all these guys behind you because they're relying on you, just like you're relying on them. It's a universal thing, right? Yeah. So we're going to find out the solution. Now give me your answer. Let's figure out where you need to improve. Say, and let's train on that. Or we're going to go do this, and this is what I need you to do. And like when we're talking about firearms, right? Can you shoot somebody? If you're concealed carrying, can you shoot somebody if you need to? Yeah. If someone says, "Oh, I can't do it," well, okay. Well, you know what? If you don't fucking do it at the right moment, okay, then this person can die. Yeah. You can die. Your weapon's gonna get taken. This person's gonna die. Yeah. Okay, so you need to make the right choice. You have
split-second decisions on that. And that's why that what-if game is good, so you know when you respond right to it. Because it's literally that quick.
Yeah,
it's that quick.
Seconds. Yeah. So here's the video. Looks like 150 inmate fight breaks out at a prison.
Yeah, we actually we got put on standby when this happened.
Yeah,
I remember I was at the Tap Out for Cancer tournament in Phoenix, which I would have been really close. I called Yoni. I'm like, hey, if you come, bring my bag. Like, I'm already here. But they actually, dude, TSU was on site. They rocked that. They had those dudes. I mean, you can see the pumpkin patch there, but they had that whole thing under control in like 45 minutes, which is pretty dope.
That's 150 dudes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm sure the the tactical staff that was there, they were obviously outnumbered.
Yeah,
but
we always are.
We always are. But it's just their mental preparedness. You know, they knew what they were walking into. They knew what they were going to do. They had a plan of action, and they executed it.
Which one of the most impressive things is how late that happened.
Yeah.
Because I think that text thread went out that we got put on standby. It was like past 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for them to respond that quick, like they're pretty on point.
Yeah, and I was actually at the gym when we were doing this, and you know what I did is I have a home gym too. So I came home, I got my gear on, my uniform ready to go, bag set on side, and I went and finished my workout. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm activated, I'm fucking ready. Yeah. Adrenaline's going now.
I got a good pump. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna look good.
You're gonna look good.
We got all the GoPros. No, get my right side. Get my right side.
Get my good side.
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh. But
I think another thing with that too is like, having them walk you through. Like I said, you want them to come up with their own answers the best they can. So the things that they do that are safe, that, if I tell them, how are you going to respond to this? They're going to tell me the X, Y, Z. All right, X and Y are on point. But Z, what about if this happened? That's not good, right? Oh, no, it's not good. Okay, so let's do it this way. Yeah, oh, hey, yeah, that's cool, right? And we kind of, you're learning from each other. Yeah. Right? Like, it's not like as a supervisor, I have all the answers. I learn from staff all the time. So I think that's good to put them in that, let them think of what they would do, and then just tweak where it needs to be tweaked. Right, just like Yoni does with us training. Yeah. We come up with a program. That's good. Hey, change this. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, no, you're right. You know what I mean? And when they come up with those answers themselves, they believe in it. And when they believe in it, they're gonna fight for it. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense to them. Versus me telling them, you are gonna do step 1, and then you are gonna do step 2, and then you're gonna do step 3. And they're like, okay,
knife handing the shit out of me.
You will do step 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, copy that.
Can't do that, man. You gotta be approachable. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And I think another thing too, like a tactic that I use on cell extractions, because firearms instructors do that after chemical exposures. It's gonna be fun.
Fantastic.
Okay. So I'll get in there, and the first couple times, I'm the inmate, and I'm super hard. They're coming, and I'm kicking the shield spark, kicking that thing, just fighting the shit out of them, right? About third or fourth time they come through, all I do is get out of the way, and that whole stack hits the wall. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, yeah, you got to think too, right? Yeah, because they kind of get in the habit of going through the motions real quick.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Sergeant Martinez, actually, he thanked me for that. It was pretty cool. Because he was shield and he came through, and the first couple times, dude, I'm like lighting up. I'm pushing the whole line back. So like, all right, and I can see they're getting pumped up. I'm like, God, this is the one I'm getting out of the way. So I move, and Martinez hit that wall, dude. His head just like, and the whole stack's behind him, right? Like a domino effect, smash, dude. It was good. And afterwards, he's like, I had tunnel vision, and you pointed that out. Thank you. You know what I mean? So yeah. So different tactics, but most of the time, if they come up with what they're going to do, and like I said, you just tweak where it needs to be tweaked, but let them do their thing, then it's pretty on point. It's good. They're going to believe in it. They're going to fight for it. It's good. Yeah.
All right, so guys, now everything that we talk about, I mean, you can use it in all aspects of life, right? We're just we try to improve everybody, right? And I mean, we always seek improvement in all aspects of our life, right?
I do.
It's that equal balance. So everybody, thank you for watching, and I appreciate everybody, all the follows, all the likes, all the comments, everything, all the subscribers. We're actually doing very well, and I think it's showing. And walking around, hearing people talk about it and talk about what we're talking about and how it's helping them, I really appreciate all of you guys. So,
dare I say, I feel like Jennifer Lawrence because we are catching fire.
Fire?
Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I don't.
My bad.
Moving on. So
corny. All right, I'll give him.
Yeah. No, you're good, bro.
Yeah. Okay. No, but you guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. Like he said, like the people we're talking to, the feedback we're getting is awesome. If you got something that you want us to talk about, bring up whatever, put it in the comments, and we'll get it. Trust me, we'll answer your shit.
Yeah, so don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We are on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're going to be on iTunes soon, and we're on different platforms, Google Podcast. So if you want to find this podcast, it's really easy. You Google it and it'll pop up.
Google. Probably worth a Google.
Yeah, and don't forget to hit that notification bell.
Ding!
So you hear that little noise when we post new content so you don't miss out. All right. But anyways, thanks to everybody, and yeah.
Good times. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. And this is
Good one.
where we
Good one.
So
Christoph.
we're done.
Christoph. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Push the button.
Oh my God, it's a good thing he's not trying to give us
Give me
likes.
the mouse.
Can't even click a button.
Just like